Good morning and welcome to the first episode of Becoming Busy and Blessed on LinkedIn Live with Brenda Miller. So we're going to give everybody a few seconds to hop on. I'm Megan Voges with Evlo Geminos, and we're just warming up. So if you have your coffee, go ahead and raise it for me.
Here we go.
Right. So as you're logging in, I want you to go ahead and drop in the chat where you're from and what brought you today. So what tips are you looking for the job search? So again, I'm Megan and this is Brenda Miller, and welcome to our LinkedIn Live.
Megan, I got to ask, what does your mug say? Because I saw it says something on the mug.
It says be kind.
Oh, that's perfect.
But I feel like I need to Sharpie it. Does yours have your pretty hearts on it? Is that what I saw?
This one, it's like a little heart-shaped pattern, but on this side, it's one little red heart and it's pink. So I think my husband got me this. I'm not sure. I'll tag him in and ask him later.
So sweet. Yeah. Hey, Sue. Good morning. Welcome. So I'm so glad you're here too for the inauguration. So if you be sure to drop name and a good app. I'd love how far our reach can go, and we'll kind of dive in because we're going to start with a rapid fire for Brenda to get everybody warmed up, and I want all of you to rapid fire in the chat. Good morning, Yolanda. Chrissy, it's so great to see you too in Chicago. I love it. I can tell you Yolanda is from Cleveland. Which is
hey, Megan, can I give you so Megan's, this is since her first LinkedIn Live, I'm giving her a little bit of guidance today. In the chat along the right-hand side, as you see those comments popping in, if you click on the comment, you'll click to show it and it will come up in the StreamYard. There you go.
Oh, I love this.
Yeah.
Okay. So y'all, welcome to our LinkedIn Live. And like I said, Brenda is going to be my on-site coach today, as well as my guest. So as we scroll this in, go ahead and tag another job seeker if they said they were going to come, but you haven't seen them yet. I want you to go ahead and make sure to tag them in the chat. Good morning, Jill. Welcome. We've got all kinds of fun and fabulous faces showing up. I'm loving this. So like I said, so good morning, Jill. So there you go. Chris is popping in from Detroit. Oh, he's here for coffee and pie. Do you have your pie? So cheers. So, and we've got some people from the DC area, which I love it. Christy's hopping on, and here we go. So, yeah. Cleveland is in the house as always. We rock it here in Cleveland. We love y'all, Detroit. But all right, Jillian, it is so great to see you. Oh, that's a great thing. Yeah, Brenda and I are actually going to dive in and talk about focus and strategy. That's why we have coffee. That's one of the secrets of ours. So, so as we continue to roll in, I invite you to tag. If you have a company page or a LinkedIn page, go ahead and drop that in the chat as well so we can follow it. Hey, Dan, welcome from Detroit. This is fabulous. So, oh, we've got a friend copping in from Texas. Here we go. So we've got a good stretch. So I was waiting to make sure we were covering all the different regions. Right now, I'm just missing the West Coast. So good morning. It's nice to see you too. So we're going to start with this. So I'm going to give you a quick background on how Brenda and I met each other and when I learned of the wonderful Brenda Miller. So my story actually started well before I met Brenda in person. A marketing person that I worked with actually had attended a conference, I believe it was for Together Digital possibly, that Brenda had presented at. And fell in love with Brenda's strategy, came back and dumped this whole pile of papers on my desk of all these notes she'd taken. It was like, this woman believes in social media pie, and her strategy was so creative, and she wore a hot pink boa, and she was really funny.
Who was that?
You have to do what she's doing. Okay. So as a new person to the company, I took that by storm, and I thank Terrell Meek for introducing me to you, and major props to the Together Digital Network. If anything in the chat, anyone in the chat is in Together Digital, we love it. Brenda and I are both members. So after that, I started following Brenda on LinkedIn and connected with her and thanked her for inspiring someone at work to really take LinkedIn Live by storm. So one of the things that we can talk about is after we connected, this crazy thing called a pandemic hit in March. It's about 700 days ago. And tune in next week to our LinkedIn Live when Christopher Johnson and I will talk about how the pandemic impacted all of us in a virtual Zoom space. But today I connected with Brenda on LinkedIn. And then I watched as Brenda took a leap of faith and started doing something which I have come to follow and try to implement in my daily life. And that is social media karma. So I want to give major props to Brenda. She actually started a job seeker group and offering her services for free to help job seekers or those in career transition really take a leap of faith and lean in to the best practices on LinkedIn. But in addition to that, she started hosting a VIP call. And many of you who are on the VIP call with Brenda every Friday know the rock star mentality she has, the positive energy she brings to your day. So that's why I wanted her to be the first guest. We still have high unemployment rates. So I'm going to kind of flip it over to Brenda to talk about why serving and supporting job seekers was so important to her and share a little bit about her story. So Brenda, the stage is yours.
Awesome. Thank you, Megan. And thank you so much. It's such an honor to be on with you and to be your first guest. I'm so excited to celebrate this with you. And I'm going to share this video far and wide with many people and encourage them to watch your show, to suggest other speakers. I know this is going to be a huge hit. I love, 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 love your energy, Megan. You and I have not yet met in person, but when we do, I'm going to give you the biggest hug because you're just such a sweetheart and you're such a supporter. You're such a ray of light. And I just love you. You know that. So I have to start with that. I started, the VIP. I kind of started this whole community of resources for job seekers. Most recently in the pandemic, I've always kind of had a soft spot. My previous employer, we were doing some work with the in transition career crowd back in the last recession, 2008, 2009, 2010, and I just really loved working with the community of people that needed help, were desperate for resources, really weren't finding it because your employers, let's be honest, when they let do layoffs and things, the resources they give you, it might be outplacement services, which may or may not include resume support and career strategy assistance. But then it's kind of like, good luck, and this job search market is so different now than it was once upon a time. And understanding how to use LinkedIn has to be a part of that. And it can be very, very overwhelming if you don't know where to get started or what to do. It can be very overwhelming. So I started it in, it was probably March, actually, I think late March, maybe April of 2020, when I started to see companies were already doing layoffs, really good people who had done nothing wrong. It was just the victim of circumstance and were being pushed out back into the job search market. So I said, well, I can do like a LinkedIn for job seekers series. And I started doing webinars. They were doing like a 4-part webinar series. And then it seemed to be like there was a need for people to get a little bit more help, and they wanted to have more community conversations. So I started, as you were talking about, Megan, the Friday VIP job seeker office hours. And I've always tried to make my resources free when I'm presenting within a group, knowing I have to operate my business and I have to keep a paycheck going, or else I'm going to have to find a corporate job. I have to have some business model going underneath that. So I do have some additional offerings that people can work with me one-on-one that are paid, but I've always tried to keep the Friday groups for free and the webinar offerings for those that are unemployed for free as well. You became a part of that community, and we can go back to this element of social media karma, Megan. You remember that you and Beth were my helpers. I don't know how many weeks in a row. You remember that?
Oh, I do. When Jenny Carino was like rallying and raising the roof.
She was raising the roof. We got to give her a shout out here. And it was interesting because, it was you and Beth for a while, and then both of you got jobs and left the group. And then I would have other people volunteering, and they would leave the group too because they got jobs. And I was like, oh, I'm onto something here. So now in the group every Friday when I ask for a volunteer, and all they do is they help me facilitate chat. We've got probably between 30 to 60 plus people in there. And we have people dropping success stories and questions, and I just can't keep up. And I, like, you and Beth were the first to say, can we help you? And I'm like, yes, please. So now I ask for a volunteer to help facilitate chat. And I always tell them the story. I'm like, just letting you guys know, if you volunteer, I am calling that there's a direct correlation between volunteering in this group and finding another job. And because people would leave the call, like later on that day, they'd get interviews, or they'd get job offers the next week. And sometimes it doesn't happen within that same time period, but it was like people would be leaving the group because they were volunteering. So Megan, you inspired that. I don't know if you know that or not, but you created a movement here.
Oh my God. And I have to tell you, Brenda, our favorite story about that is, so we run an interview club. If you're not checking out the interview club, be sure to follow Evlo Jaminos, and there's a tab for our interview club. I'll go ahead and post it after this, but we had an interview club going afterwards for just free interview support. And after, I vividly remember the call where you got trampled on by someone who just kept dominating the day with questions for you. And like nobody else got to ask questions because you are so kind, and you never would ever stop anyone from asking questions. And we left, and all of us were like, if we offer her help, will she be upset? Will she think she's not knowing what she's doing? Because we're like, she's too kind to let one person dominate this call when so many people wanted to soak up your knowledge and ask questions.
It's hard, and it's when I think sometimes when people are in a situation where, and I call this a VIP job seekers group, and very important people is what that acronym means there, because these are very important people who, through no fault of their own, have found themselves in a place where they're in career transition. And a lot of times you cannot get anybody to help you. You know, it's on LinkedIn, it's pretty much self-serve. You can ask questions, but it's really hard to get a person from LinkedIn. I don't ever talk to anybody from LinkedIn on the phone, maybe in a research thing, but to get somebody from LinkedIn to help you is really hard. So you're relying on your network. And when you find someone that is willing to answer your questions, I think sometimes you're just like, trying. And I think that's probably what that person was doing. Well, finally, I have somebody who can answer questions for me because I can't find that elsewhere. And it's always that delicate process of making sure that we're all kind of sharing the room. This is VIP office hours for everyone. So making sure that everybody gets a chance to ask questions. And sometimes I would have to say, we're going to limit this to one question. I know you had a couple more, but I'm going to move on if it's okay, so we have time for other people. I want to show respect as one human being to another human being. And especially knowing that this person is in a very emotional situation when you're in career transition. So it's always like walking that fine line of being helpful, but also being respectful of the space, the community that we've created together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that point. So now that we're about 11 minutes in, so I'm seeing some great attendance here in the chat and chatter going on, but let's take a quick break before we get into the nitty gritty of why you and I both agree about giving each other grace during a job search process. Mm-hmm. And here's what I want to do. I'm going to ask the audience to participate. So at Becoming Busy and Blessed, one of the things that's so important for our brains, for our bodies, for our mental health is to focus on the good. So we're going to do 2 rapid fire sessions of questions for Brenda to kind of share what to her is critically important to keep her positive. So we'll do 1 at the beginning and 1 at the end. And these are called rapid fire to figure out where Brenda finds her blessing. So say that 5 times fast. Mm-hmm. So here's what we're going to do. So, all right. As I said, you are all welcome to participate in the chat. First rapid fire question. What is your favorite game to play? Any time of day. Favorite game with family or friends or whatever. Favorite game.
I have a game I'm playing on my phone right now. It's called Mindshare. What's it called? Mindpal. That's my favorite game right now because it's challenging, memory and math scores and spelling and things like that. It's just trying to keep my brain fresh. So it's like
I'm not seeing any answers in the chat yet. Somebody else tell me what it's awesome to do. Deanna, I don't think we can save the chat, but we can definitely I'll have to check on that and I can share it with you later. Go ahead. Everybody else, drop in the chat. What is your favorite game to play or that you've right now or that you've played during the pandemic? Personally, I love Chameleon. So Chameleon is another game I played. So go ahead and drop in the chat what your favorite game to play is, whether it's on your phone or with friends and family. All right. So here's the next one. Uno, I love it, June. All right. Rapid fire question. What's your signature drink that you treat yourself to when you have a success?
Oh, martini, dirty martini. But my husband makes it for me because I never can make it the right way. It's just like it turns out and it's either like watery or it's it's not enough. There's always, I don't know.
You have to raise a glass to your husband and toast the martini. So
when he makes it, we used to have a thing, we called it Martini Friday, and I'm not a big drinker, so it's not like I drink every day and stuff, but I'll have like 1 drink if I do drink in a day. And we would call it Martini Friday. And my way of asking him to make it for me, I'd be like, is today Martini Friday? Like it'd be on a Friday when I'd ask him this. And he's like, I don't think so. It might be Martini Saturday tomorrow, So
I love that. All right. So we got signature drink, Drabo. Perfect. I love it. Champagne. Oh, I agree with you, Yolanda. There's always room for champagne. So let's go ahead. Best networking groups that you feel like have helped you stay positive.
Oh, that's so hard, Megan, because there's so many groups to
top
pick.
3.
Top 3. Together Digital, Inforum. The third, I'm torn. Like I want to say Toastmasters and Troy Chamber for the third.
Okay. Well, so I'll tell you the reason for the question. So go ahead and drop in the chat networking groups you are in. This is one of my reasons to talk about being busy and blessed. Sometimes we have to get out of our own headspace and get out of our house, literally, to be connected to others that may not be in the same space we are, or may be something. So I'm going to agree with Sue on this one. She says anything Brenda is in is a great group, right?
Oh,
so let's do that. So yeah, BNI is a great group. Yeah. So go ahead and keep dropping those in the chat. All right. 2 more questions. One, what's the sound you love to hear?
Sound, I love to hear my children laughing. That's definitely.
Laughter is a good sound. Absolutely. All right. Go ahead and drop in the chat. Friends, I love this engagement we're seeing. Yeah. What is your favorite sound to hear that kind of lifts your mood and reminds you how busy and blessed you are? Then. All right. And as we're doing that, Brenda, what's on your dance track?
It's on my dance track, like music I dance to.
Yeah. Deborah Shelby is a big ambassador of sometimes you just got to turn up the volume, put on some rock and roll, and handle your business.
Beyonce, I would say, you know,
Ooh, okay.
Depending on my mood. I mean, sometimes I listen to just like what's that Sirius satellite radio in the car at the 80s channel.
Yeah.
And you just blast, like you find a song that, or it's like sometimes it's the 80s and sometimes it's the 90s channel. It's not like one song, but it's just like, you know, like REO Speedwagon, just like belting it at the top of your lungs. Like, I can't fight this feeling any longer. You know, sometimes you just need to belt it out, right?
Okay. So let's shake it off. Dance
Taylor
track.
Swift.
This sounds rapid fire. Take away from this, be connected to some of the networks that Brenda mentioned. Check those out. Bulletproof is a great one, Christy. Another one to check out if you're a part of a career transition. And like I said, fill that dance track, make time for your signature drinks, and play games. Break up the monotony. So, all right, let's get down to business, Brenda. I need to know, for our job seekers, what are 3 things you recommend they do to stay positive and patient during the pandemic with job searching?
So to stay positive and patient, 3 things I would recommend that they do. You know, first is you have to treat the time that you are in career transition as a job. So, you know, you used to work a job that was 40 hours a week, whether it was 9 to 5 or whatever your hours were. You got to treat those times still as working times, but the work is looking for a job. The good thing about this type of work is that you can have fun while working because you're going to be doing networking, talking to a lot of different people. But being structured about that, I think, is important. And that does involve getting up and getting a shower in the morning. Ladies, getting your hair and makeup on, you know, at least putting something presentable from the waist up because we don't see your pajama pants on the Zoom, you know, but like I find like when I'm having a down day, even myself, and I'm finding those days where it's like, did I shower yesterday? Was it 2 days ago? Like, I don't know. I mean, I start to get like, and then I'm like, no, I need to get up in the morning, you know, get ready as if I'm going to the office. I think that is important because it signals to your brain that you're on for the day. You're not like sitting on the couch vegging out. That's one tip. Another is seek, if you are feeling down, you know, seeking inspiration is really important. And one of my hacks, you'll know if I'm having a bad day if you see an inspirational quote on LinkedIn, and which is really ironic because you're like, wow, what an inspirational quote. Well, you know what I did that day is I looked up an inspirational quote about leadership, about time management, about success, about productivity, because I was struggling in one of those areas. So I found a quote. And in the process of doing so, I did a Google Images search. I looked at a bunch of inspirational quotes. It's getting the mindset in there. And then I picked one that I liked and I posted about it. So it's kind of like recalibrating your brain by looking for inspiration, whether you do that in a Google Images search or you have one of those calendar at a day with inspirations that you tear off every day, or you have a book that you read or something. I think when you're feeling down, you need to seek out the positive because that helps to flip it around and get you going there. And then my third tip to keep, what was it? Focused and
positive and patient.
Positive and patient. My third tip to keep yourself positive and patient. I think every day you have to have some type of self-care. And that self-care could be having a cup of coffee with a special, your favorite coffee creamery in it. It could be going outside and taking a walk, even if it's, I don't know what it is, like 30 degrees outside here in Michigan, even if it is 30 degrees outside, because sometimes just getting out and breathing fresh air and hearing the birds chirping and the squirrels running in this, the park can help you to get out of that funk. Or maybe it's doing yoga. Maybe it is, I think there's a Calm app where you can like breathe in, breathe out. There's different things. Maybe it's listening to Christopher Johnson's LinkedIn Live series because he's got such a calming voice. But
Mhm.
finding outlets, and if you're really not sure what to do in terms of self-care, what you could do is like get out a notepad and just write 1 through 25 and then write 25 things that give you joy. And then when you're stuck in a funk and you haven't done any self-care in a while, look at that list. And it could be like painting your nails, getting
Mhm.
your hair nicely done, meeting a friend for coffee in the parking lot if you're distancing, or going in person if you feel comfortable.
Mhm.
Could be texting someone. I can't tell you how many days, Megan, you've texted me with some nice note and I was like, how does she know I'm not having a good day right now? Like, it reached me like at that perfect time. So maybe there was more than 3 tips, but
No, that was
that's
wonderful.
what
And
I
I,
got
I
for
want
you.
to recap to make sure I got him. So, tip number one was kind of get up, shower, find something to accomplish, right?
Keep
Um,
focus. Like, you got to treat your
okay.
job when you're in career transition, in between successes, unemployed. You got to treat that time as if you are working. So yeah, get your day started. I think that's important.
All right, we're going to update this so y'all can write it down. We're going to do that one. That was tip number one. So, there you go. So, that is tip number
Oh, look
one,
at that.
get up, shower, and find something to focus on, right? Get your day
Mhm.
started. And I'm going to double up on that one. So, I know you you actually called me on this. For those of you who don't know what my desk looks like, meet my planner. This is
Mhm.
Plum Paper Planner. I've actually taught students to give their planners a name. Mine does not have a name, but I custom order my planner because I write down what I want to do for the day. That power of checking something off. And this is going to sound silly, but to go back and get your day started, we literally sit down at the beginning of the week and I write what dinners we're having during the week down
That's a good
so that
idea.
mentally I have something that I know we're going to do, right? That's that piece of it. All right. So that's part one. Tip. So this is, I flipped him. Sorry. Tip two was self care.
Yeah.
Make time to really for it. Just make time for it. Yoga,
Mhm.
meditation, laughter with friends, virtual coffees at night, happy hours. And also get out and get fresh air. Take a walk around the block, clear your head, hear the birds singing. Did I get all of that on the self
Yeah,
care?
I think related to that, like, write down a list of 1 through 25 and write down 25 things that bring you joy, so that when you're feeling stuck in a funk, down, you can look back at that list and go, okay, that's something, pick something from the list and do it on the list.
All right. So
Mhm.
we're gonna figure this one out. There you go. I'm adding it as so learning all this as we go, y'all. But tip two, self care matters. So make time for it. Get out, get fresh air, build a list of 25 things. I know Jill Wendell specs on this call, and Jill and I talk a lot about our the way our brains are wired. We need positive to counteract the negative. So I would
Mhm.
even challenge you once a week to make a list of 25 things that you find joy in, or keep a running list.
Mhm.
I can tell you right now that my sister bought me this really cool book. It's a Kate Spade, and it says "Hold My Calls," and
Aw.
inside are pages where I can write down things that maybe inspire me or motivate me or I feel blessed about. And the other thing I think you said, which is a really powerful tool with that one, is you pay it forward, y'all.
Mhm.
Pay it forward. Um, I have a couple different group chats going at all times. And as soon as I think of someone, I text someone. And I can tell you, there's someone on this call that texted me late on Saturday, hey, thinking about you, just send a prayer. And it was just a nice touch. So the
Mhm.
second you think of someone, just send them a message. Don't hesitate, because that paying it forward will make things better. And that's part of Brenda's social media karma initiative. All right.
Mhm.
So shifting gears. So your tip one, your tip two, and your final tip was that finding inspiration piece.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. So I did a hack. I'll go ahead and share that one of the hacks that Brenda talked about is finding that quote and posting it. So check this out. Here's the Brenda hack. Go to
Mhm.
images.google.com. I want y'all to do it right now. Yeah, I'm serious. Open a second tab. This is the only time a LinkedIn Live person will tell you to do this. Open a
You can
second tab, go to images.google.com.
you can do this on screen too if you wanted to. You could do
Ooh,
a share screen and you could, like,
I could. I'm
show
so
people
afraid I'm
how
going
you
to
do
lose
it.
people if I do a share screen.
You won't. They won't leave. You guys won't leave, will you? Tell
Well,
Megan you won't leave if she does this. Go in chat and say I won't leave. Tell her right now,
so,
because I know you guys won't leave.
yeah, I love this. Jill said, yeah, inspiration comes from inside. That's exact. Yeah, agreed 100%. Paying it forward. Sue couldn't agree more. Yeah. So let me try this, y'all. Let's do this and we'll do it together. And then you all can find a quote and drop it in the chat for us. Actually, you know what? Don't put your quote in the chat just yet.
Yeah, that's right. We got an idea, right?
We have an idea. Yeah. So what I want you to do is, if you can, let me share my screen. Share screen. Share screen. All right, let's try this. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to images.google.com and type in whatever motivation you need. So I'm going to put perseverance quotes. I'm going to hit enter. And I'm going to find one that really resonates with me. Oh.
I like the last key one, the don't be discouraged one. You see that one?
Yeah, often the last key in the bunch that opens the lock.
Well, of course, because you're not going to try additional keys after you find the key that works, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I have to say I love this one. Perseverance is stubbornness with a purpose. So, but no, so patience, perseverance. There we go. All of these. So kind of think through all of these. Find an inspiration quote that matters to you. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing for a second. Hold that page and then come back to us. All right. So you can write it down in a notebook if you want, or whatever the case is. But we're going to kind of hop on to one of my other questions because we're almost at the halfway point of this wonderful broadcast. So real quick, before I ask the next question, I want to ask you, is there a tip you would like to know about staying positive? Drop it in the chat to make sure you get something out of this LinkedIn Live. So make sure to drop that as I ask Brenda our next question. So Brenda, next question, and you and I are always on this. So here we go. 3 things you should do as a job seeker to keep your options open.
3 things you should do as a job seeker is to keep your options open. Okay, the first is, can I tell a quick little story that I tell on our job seeker call? The guy with the boat story. You've heard this one before.
Yeah.
And it's in the movie, The Pursuit of Happiness. It's in like the last scene in the movie that the kid tells it to his father. But there's a guy who's in a house and there's a lot of rain, a big rainstorm, and the house is getting flooded. And you know, and the whole town is being evacuated, and the guy doesn't want to leave his house, and his neighbor's like, we gotta go, and he's like, no, God will save me, and the second it keeps raining, and he's up to the second floor of the house, and the whole first floor, the whole town is completely flooded, and a boat comes by, and they're like, we gotta go, we gotta get you out of here, and he said, no, God will save me, and continues to rain. It goes up to the second floor of the house, and now he's standing on the roof, and another boat comes by, and they're like, we have to get you out of here, and the guy's like, no, I can't leave my house, God will save me. And the boat leaves, and the next day it keeps raining, and it floods, the guy drowns, goes up to heaven. He's up at the pearly gates, and he's walking in and meets God for the first time, and he says, God, why did you let this happen to me? And God says, what do you think the boats were for? And I think, like, when we're in career transition, sometimes we get like blinders, Megan, on this is what I've done my entire career, and I'm going to be loyal to what I've done, and I'm waiting for this not to come back, but to find it someplace else exactly as it was from before. And we neglect the boats that come to us. And the boats come to us in the forms of friends saying, let's meet for coffee and talk about what you're looking for in your career. And it comes in the form of people saying, come to this networking group and check this out. It comes to us in the form of someone saying, hey, there's a job. It's a little bit different than what you did before, but is this something you're interested in? And we say no. We say no to the networking groups, no to the friend, no to the opportunities. And you never know where one of those conversations may lead. My friend Tina Marie Wolfield told me that when we are approached about a job opportunity, you don't say no to talking about the opportunity. You can decline a job offer if you don't feel like it's a fit, but why not have that conversation with that person, with that employer, with that recruiter? Because you never know. You might get into the conversation and say, I used to be a graphic designer. I've never thought about being a teacher, but it's a teaching opportunity to community college for graphic design. And, actually this might be something I could look at, right? Like you never know.
I love that story. That's one
So
of my favorites. So keep your options open. And I want to circle up and talk about that for a second. One of the things that I recommend doing is giving yourself 3 buckets every single day to do.
mhm,
So a bucket to what's going to help me, what's going to remind me that I am talented and capable. So for me, it was starting this company, right? So I had done some work, but I built an LLC. I worked with Brenda, took some advice and started a company page. I know for Christopher Johnson, it was, I'm really good at Zoom and technology. And all of a sudden, his love of that became calm, clear communications, right?
mhm.
So
Yep.
finding something every day that you can do a little bit of that for, right? And breaking out your time and so that you remind you what you're great at, right?
Mhm.
So you can also have those stories to still add and feel like you add value. The second one, have the conversations. Brenda made a great point of don't miss those boats, right?
Mhm.
It's just a conversation. Now, I will be honest, make sure those conversations don't jeopardize all your time, but
Right.
have conversations. There are people I lean on and make it easy when you're having those follow up conversations with someone. This is a tip I give you as a job seeker. Button up your resume, have resume professionals look at it, have
Mhm.
recruiters look at it, and add this line. If there's anything I should modify on my resume, please feel free to let me know.
Mhm.
Then stop talking. I know this is a hard thing for me, but it's be coachable. So if they give you feedback, they're giving it to you for a reason of, hey, flip this or tell me more about that. Try to find the opportunity to invest in free services that are worthy. There are tons of
Mhm.
free options out there, but there are also great people out there, like your Hannah Morgans and your
Mhm.
Aaron Urbans and your Anna Morgans who do career support. And if you just follow them on LinkedIn, you're going to find out that they're posting free tips all the time and resources or flash sales where you can take advantage of their services for free. And telling you that it's connecting your network who might be in the professional services space or staffing,
Mhm.
send them your resume and just say, hey, I just want to share this with you. If you see there's anything that pops out, or maybe I should be looking at it for a career option,
Yeah.
let me know. I've done that lately and I've had 3 positions tagged by friends I never would have thought of for myself, but they look interesting. And true story on my end is that's actually how I landed my job for almost nearly a decade at Sylvan. My mom saw the position and goes, hey, I think you might be good at this someday.
Mhm.
It was on Craigslist. Y'all, for those of you who are young, Craigslist was this place where you could post for jobs. So, but I think those are all great tips. So, and I'm loving the comments that I'm seeing. Yeah, and Christy made a point of network, network, network. Exactly. Um,
Can you
and
click the comment so we can see it up on
yeah,
screen?
that's what I'm doing.
There you go.
Yes. Oh no, I don't know
I
why
hope
you're
you don't
doing.
mind me offering that
Oh,
suggestion too, Megan, because it's like I know like when you're broadcasting these on LinkedIn Live, it can be so if it's like you're piloting a major airplane and you've got this instrument panel of all these things and you got passengers in the back that are waiting on you and the mission control is saying ground cleared for takeoff and you're like, hold on, I got it.
trying. I'm trying.
I'm
Thank you.
trying to
Everybody
fly
said
a
look
plane, you
back.
guys.
So y'all bear with. Oh, I completely forgot my disclaimer. So for those of you who have been on a webinar with me before, you know that my disclaimer is always there will be technology issues. All is forgiven for technology in the pandemic. Chris has heard me say this tons of times. All technology is forgiven. So please bear with me and have grace.
Mhm.
So this is something I want to take a step back, and this was the purpose of our conversation. So we've shared some really good nuggets for you so far. We're exactly at halfway through right now, but I want a second to ask Brenda,
Yeah.
and I'll share mine first if this helps for full disclosure. We talk about those affirmation phrases, right?
Mhm.
We talk about that idea of how do we fill our bucket? You know, when things get hard, how do we reset ourselves? And to
Mhm.
me, one of the things that I often say is, you know what? I didn't get to it today, but I can always finish it tomorrow,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
There's always tomorrow. So there's going to be another chance tomorrow. Do I always believe it? Heavens no. But that's one of the things I repeat. The second thing
Yeah.
I do is I don't, and I've had to learn this the hard way the past is to be honest with your tribe or your team. Hey, I'm having a rough day. I'm going to need a little extra patience or grace or boosting up or that kind of thing, or I'm going to need to talk through this and just being verbal about what you need to get through those next couple hours or those next couple days
Mhm.
of or knowing that, yeah, I'm okay with it now, but I might not be okay in 2 weeks that I remember I lost the job opportunity.
Right.
So, what are some things you say to yourself or that you do with those in kind of your inner circle?
I'm
Um,
trying to look around and find it. Hold on. I'm going to grab something real quick because
okay, that's fine. While Brenda's searching for that, go ahead. If your feed started over, let's fill you with more goodness.
Okay, I got
Okay.
it.
Go ahead and share something in the chat that you say to yourself to remind yourself you are still worthy and you can still do this and to still persevere.
Okay.
Or
First,
something.
I got to
Right.
share something, Megan. So earlier when you first started talking about filling your buckets, when she said buckets, I thought she said something else that rhymes with buckets. But this is kind of funny. So follow me along with this here. So you've got your buckets, and I'm not going to say the word I thought she said. I was like, in my head, I was going, did she just say that? Oh no, she said buckets. Buckets, like a bucket, like a pail. So you've got your buckets that you put things in, but you can also use the other word if you're feeling a little bit, a little bit more playful. So maybe you put it in the other category bucket thing. So there's a concept called a rainy day file. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, Megan, like where you pull things together if as people are sending you nice kudos, or you get cards on the back of my office door, Megan. If I closed it, I've got my door is filled with cards and notes from people, and I tape them up every time I get something that I want to remember. And sometimes I look at them and I just remember them. And, back when I worked in corporate, I would print up emails that I would get from people that were really, oh, it was such a pleasure working with you on this project. I just want to let you know how much you meant to me and blah, blah, blah. And I would print them up and I'd put them in a rainy day file, and I literally labeled it rainy day. So when I was feeling down about myself or my job or my career or the industry, I would pull out the file and I would read all these really nice things. The flip side of that is the word that rhymes with bucket that we're not going to say. You could create a box. And I've got like a little bonfire pit in my backyard that I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this on a LinkedIn Live next summer, probably. But I've got a box of things, and I'm not going to show you what they are, but they're pieces of papers and printouts and things that I'm going to throw into the fire. And there's certain things you want to remember about past careers and experiences and things like that. And there's other things. It's like it brings you negative karma, Megan. You know what I'm talking about? Like the negativity just brings you down. And sometimes you can't fully release them just by throwing them away. Sometimes you need to burn them. So I've got things I'm going to burn. And, for you, it might be an old performance review. It might be a card that you got from somebody who ended up downsizing your position that you no longer want to keep. It might be a business card from a role that you no longer brings you joy in terms of its memory. Whatever it is, I think, let's focus on the positivity, but I think giving ourselves grace, Megan, and saying it's okay to know we're human beings and we do have negative feelings. Being in career transition, it's like a roller coaster. There's highs, there's lows. Just don't stay in the low too long. And know that they're like, figure out ways to release that negative tension, whether it is by burning papers in a bonfire or commiserating with your friends or something, but energy moves in one direction. So if we hold on to that negative energy, and if we relive our negative experiences of what happened to us and what was done to us and how we couldn't control it and how unfair the situation was, it just continues to pull you back into that negative space. And you can't use that time and energy on productive things to do that are going to drive you forward in your career. So I think we need to give ourselves that grace. We're human. It's okay to be human, but we need to get out of that negative space so that it's not holding us back. I want to just offer that.
No, and I love it. So
Totally.
Oh my god! So agreed, and so I've retitled it for you to a burn box. So it's okay to have a burn box.
Okay.
As compared to Christy's recommendation, Brenda's. But this is another thing. We're in a digital world. This is something I've done for decades. That and I'll cite him. So it's another Chris that crossed my path in a career, and he said one of the things he always did in a sales position was he started a file or an email folder in his inbox that would say smiles or compliments or props or whatever the case was. He actually called it, I think his was wins because he was a huge NASCAR fan. But again, this is what happens when you work in the South and you work with people who believe in SEC football and NASCAR. Anyway, long or the short of it, he would. And anytime he got a positive email, even if it was just a sentence of, hey, I really appreciate you doing this. He would pull it into that wins folder. So any day he was having a bad day, he would drop it in that folder, right?
Oh, yeah.
And it was awesome for him. And it's something I have started every year moving forward. In any job, I have that folder to constantly look at. And it's also a great folder to forward to yourself sometimes every blue moon and put in your portfolio, right? Yeah, exactly. It's a great one. Jill made a great recommendation. This is a good book. What to Say When You Talk to Yourself. It's a really powerful book. Exactly. And I think, Brenda, was it you who did a whole thing on imposter syndrome? I know a lot of people do it. But we can go through that whole thing. So let's see. Yep. You can't kill the rooster. Apparently, if some of you are having trouble on your feed, Amy just made a great point. Refresh your browser to update your feed real quick. But so, all right. So Christy's got to go. Christy, thanks for joining us. Yep. All attendees, make sure to connect with Christy if you haven't. Brenda's point, or Cindy made a great point. Love the positive filler. I just started it myself. Yeah. Because give yourselves grace, y'all. You are human. And I think that's one of Brenda and my takeaways today, that you need to surround yourself and almost build yourself a hub or a home to live in virtually during a job search. One room has your career resources. One room has your team kind of rallying for you. Another room just has that safe space to practice yoga. Another room is where you kind of shut the door. I don't know if y'all have a closet in the house or a shelf that you just shove a bunch of crap in that you'll deal with later. I have a tote downstairs that when I'm like, find little miscellaneous holiday decorations I didn't put away, I just shove it in the tote. Then eventually I get to it. But it's almost like you're building yourself that house. So in really adding rooms so you can have a successful experience. Brenda, I am going to say your burn box is totally a post. So unfortunately, we won't say the word that Brenda thought I said.
I think I'm going to draw a bucket on the side of it. And I'm going to put what Christy said. I'm going to call it that. But I don't like to live in that negative space for too long, because to me, it's like eating junk food or fast food. Like, you feel good when you eat the McDonald's French fries, and then like a half hour later, you're like, oh, why did I eat the fries?
So I'm going to give y'all a tip to use technology. And here's my favorite tip. Watch. Hey, Siri, set a timer for 5 minutes. The second you're having a negative day, give yourself 5 minutes. Literally, when that timer goes off, move on. Okay? Move on. My other hack, if you have an Alexa at your house, like most of the world, props to those who work for Amazon, I'm going to tell you a secret. If you don't have someone in your house who you can call, or you feel like you're sick and tired of asking everybody else for affirmations, Alexa will give you affirmations. My mom discovered this by mistake. She had a small Echo Dot that we got from my grandparents. And here's how the story goes. She was at home one night. Hey, Anna, welcome. Glad you could catch us too. Jillian say a wins in making. Yeah. So anyway, picture my mom at her house. She lives in this beautiful Victorian, and on a bookshelf in the kitchen, she's in the living room. There's this tiny little Echo Dot before she got her new one for Christmas. And she's like, hey, Google, hey, Google, hey, Google, never responded. And she goes, hey, Siri. And it says, I am not Siri. I am your Google mobile home device. So she goes, I need affirmations. Tell me some affirmations. And my mom's a teacher. And if you've met her, she's one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet. But she yelled this and requested this. And all of a sudden, her Echo Dot, Alexa, whatever we want to call it, started reading her affirmations. You're beautiful today. You sound great. You have tons of friends and family that love you. Would you like to hear more?
That's nice.
So I tell you that, build yourself a network that can also do that. That just drop in the chat and no strings attached. Hey, I need some uplifting moments. I'm having a day, right?
Yeah, I've seen people do this on Facebook where I did this a while back. I copied and pasted from someone else, so I'm not going to take credit for it. But you can put on Facebook and just say something like, I'm feeling really open to compliments today. That's your post. Oh my God. It'll make people smile, but you'll also get like a flurry of people commenting back and saying, nice things about you. So
I love those social media karma posts. One of my favorite ones that you've done before too is where we talk about endorsements. Yeah. Hey, here's a free way to support your network. Go ahead and endorse them. And just the flurry of people that are like, hey, I endorse these people and these people. If you don't know how to do an endorsement, scroll to the bottom of someone's profile you're connected to and click the 3+ signs, turn them to check marks. And you'll make their whole day. So, all right, we are about 3/4 of the way through the hour. So I want to give you a chance. Is there anything we haven't touched on that you would like to share?
What was our topic for today? I'm like
grace and job seekers, giving yourself grace during the search. Yeah.
Giving yourself grace during the job search. So, you know, can I tell people about the mantra? Can I tell
I would
people about
love for you to tell about the
Okay.
mantra.
And
100%.
if you're listening in live, or if you're watching this in playback, you're just watching. We can't actually see you. We can't actually hear you. So you might feel goofy doing this, but I want to have people participate along with this. So this is something that I created for people that are in career transition. It's a mantra. So we're going to say this out loud in a second here. We're going to hold up our hand and you're going to repeat after me.
All right. Yeah.
The reason I created this is when you're in career transition, like I said earlier, it's like a roller coaster of emotions. You're up, you're down, you're angry, you're sad, you're excited, you're hopeful, you're optimistic. It's like all within 5 minutes sometimes, Megan, right?
Oh, absolutely. And if you can give me, as you're explaining it, kind of explain when we do it, I'm going to actually put it in a banner so people can follow along. So.
Okay. Can they? Or I can hold it up like this.
Yeah, you can also do that. That works.
Okay. So here's what you guys are going to do. You're going to raise a hand. I'm going to do just like I do in the job seeker college. You can raise a hand. It can be your right hand or your left hand. It's not legally binding. So pick your favorite hand. I don't care which hand it is. But this is like the action of signaling your body that you're participating in it on a physical level. And then I'm going to say the line and I'm going to point at the screen and you're going to say it back to me. Okay. Nobody can hear you. So don't feel silly. Maybe your husband or your wife or your kids can hear you because they're in the house with you, but nobody is going to hear you on the LinkedIn Live. It's just you doing this. But I want you guys to do this right now. So you're going to hold up a hand. I'm going to say the line. I'm going to point at the screen and you're going to say it back to me. Megan, you're going to be my audience to participate.
That's fine. I'll participate. Y'all can hear me, right?
So here we go. Megan, hold up your hand. Okay, ready? This is temporary.
This is temporary.
I am awesome.
I am awesome.
I am valuable.
I am valuable.
I will find another job.
I will find another job.
I am in control of my future.
I am.
Oh, we got a little audio hookup there. I think she finished saying it though. I'm going to give her a second. Megan, it just froze on me. Okay, let's try it again.
I am in control of my future.
Perfect. And using LinkedIn can help to give me power.
By using LinkedIn, and using LinkedIn can help to give me power.
Plus, by attending today, I am a step ahead.
Plus, by attending today, I am a step ahead.
Do you remember when we used to like, I'm a step ahead and I'd have people like dance it, like shake it off a little bit and we'd get into the vibe of things. So, can I take a moment just to walk people through some of the lines of what those mean? Is that okay?
I would love you to.
So,
yeah, go for it.
So this is temporary. I want you guys to remember, if you're in career transition, if you're unemployed, underemployed, in between successes, whatever you want to call yourself, this is temporary. This is just a blip. I mean, right now it may feel like this is forever because with the pandemic, it's felt like it's taken you a lot longer to find a job, but this is temporary. You will find another job. Watch for those boats, right? You are valuable and you are awesome. I want you to remember that. They cannot take that from you. The passion, the passion for your career, what you do, what's in your heart, all the knowledge you've gained in your brain all over the years, they cannot take that from you wherever you go. That cannot be taken from you. So I want you to remember you are awesome and you are valuable. You will find another job. And when you find yourself saying, and you will do this when you're in career transition, I'm never going to find another job. When you hear yourself saying that out loud, stop and say, I will find another job. I will find another job. Emphasis on the word will. What you tell your brain will help your brain to make that come true. You have to believe it to get there. You are in control of your future. LinkedIn can help to give you power. You can't control what happens to you. You can't replay. You can't go back. You can't do any of those things. But you can control what you do today, tomorrow, the next day after that. You control your future and where you go from this point out. And by attending today, by listening in today, you are a step ahead because there's so many awesome people and resources that Megan has already given you and you'll get access to by connecting with these people. And even the simple act of engaging with this live stream, either by liking it or even better yet, adding in a comment, you're increasing visibility for yourself. So you really are a huge, huge step ahead on there. So thank you for letting me do that. Oh, look, you just put it in the chat too.
I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah, watch. I love this. Jillian's like, watch for boats. Exactly, Jillian. So
Watch for the boats. Yes.
alrighty. So here's what I want you to. So we're gonna wrap up this call. And Brenda, I cannot thank you enough for being my first guest and being my guide and my captain as I was navigating this boat of technology. So I want to wrap up with a couple different things. We're going to do the final round of rapid fire. All right. I'm going to capture some of the highlights, and I'll make sure in the comments after this goes live and it posts on LinkedIn to share some other great webinars and resources that Brenda and I have talked about in the comments, so you all have links to those. Also, there's a Great Together digital. There was a Friday session they did where a lady talks about that beautiful type of box and another way to incorporate that. So I'll post that. But like I said, we're going to do one more rapid fire. We're going to kind of wrap up, and I'll make sure to highlight all the links y'all are going to need. And then the third thing we're going to do is what we're going to call a motivation waterfall. So here's how we're going to roll with this. So first of all, I'm going to pull off this banner. All right. So you can see Brenda and my names again. All right. Here is what we are going to do. So first and foremost, you ready for your rapid fire? Okay. And audience members, you are also invited to participate. So here we go. Best interview question you've ever been asked.
Am I supposed to answer this? Or this is for the audience?
This is for you.
Best interview question I've ever been asked. Oh my goodness, that's a good question. When can you start? Right?
I love that one. Yeah.
If we're gonna ask an interview question, I mean, that's the best interview question. Or I know that we said the salary was going to be X to Y. Is it okay if we pay you more? That might be better.
I love that one. All right.
You're hiring bonus? I mean, no, I don't know.
All right. If you have any great comments, go ahead and drop those in the chat as well of great interview questions. You've either been asked as an interviewer or an interviewee. One of my favorites is always, if you were in my seat, what would be 10-year, interviewing for this position? What's a question you would ask? And I'm like, oh, that's a good flip of the tables, right? So go ahead and drop those in the chat. All right, here's the next one. What's a negative experience that you now realize has turned into a positive as you've grown?
As I have grown. I mean, where I am now started with the universe nudging me forward, with someone making a decision about my position and my value. And I know who I am today is driven so much in part by that person. And it's not just one person. I think there's probably multiple people that were involved, but I think I'd like to thank those people, because I wouldn't be where I am today if it not were for the universe nudging me forward and being where I am. And it makes me so happy where I'm at. I tell people I'm enthusiastically unemployable. What that means is that it's not that I can't work. It's that there's not a salary you could pay me that would want me to work for someone else. I love being my own boss, and I love doing what I'm doing and having the opportunities to have so many people to help. So I think every negative experience you can learn from. Some you're never going to feel good about them, but you can choose to learn from it, to grow from it, to use that as positive energy to propel you forward. I am so thankful for everything that has happened to me, because it has led me to who I am today and to do all the things I am doing today. I would not be here if those things did not happen. So I am truly grateful and thankful.
Oh, that's beautifully said. I love that. Let's all take a moment and kind of just embrace what we are grateful and thankful for, because that's how we're becoming busy and blessed, right? We're focusing on that. So I'm going to scan that across the bottom as we're kind of doing the next one. So, all right, rapid fire. That was one of them. I already know this answer, but if your life were a hashtag, what would it be?
Social media pie, right? Social media pie.
Absolutely.
Because it's a little play on social media karma. That's my thing, like paying it forward, helping others. It's so much better to focus on others, because the universe will reward you. Karma will come back to you. And my love of pie, which is a part of my personality. It's part of my brand. If you read my book, there's a lot of analogies to pie in marketing, getting a slice, the flavors, the crust, like all those things are a part of it. So social media pie is kind of a meld of the phrases social media karma and my focus on pie. And yeah, so that's my hashtag. How about you, Megan? Do you have a hashtag?
Um, I think Phil would always laugh at me because it's busy and blessed. So it is our
Busy and
job.
blessed, I like that.
This came about. So the story of my hashtag was I was working at a restaurant.
Mhm.
This was years ago, and you had to. So it's two parts to the story. So the restaurant was Sweet Tomato. It no longer exists. It was one of my favorite restaurants. It was a huge, wonderful salad bar. And my friend Robbie was the manager and needed some help. So I was a manager at Bath and Body Works and helped Robbie kind of be a house manager at the restaurant. Robbie helped me do some seasonal sales at Bath and Body Works at the time. So it was a nice kind of two wonderful female leaders meeting again. And it was in the handbook that you had to answer the phone. It's a great day at Sweet Tomatoes. How may I help you? Like in the handbook, it was written this way, and I loved it.
Yeah, brand consistency. You got to get that. I get it. I get it.
Oh, Anna just dropped a great chat for interview questions. So one again. So as I was saying that, people like, is it really a great day? And that's how they pose the question. And I'm like, I had to kind of think, and it just kind of came to me. And I'm like, well, what if it wasn't just a great day, but we were busy and blessed? I just started when I then started at Sylvan, I made that a mandate that if you answered the phone at Sylvan, you had to say it's a great day at Sylvan Learning Center. And I'll never forget one of my mentors, Dave, called me one day at work and he was like, hey, I'm like, it's a great day at Sylvan. He's like, really? Really? Is it a great day? How are you
gonna
really?
Go there? Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm busy and blessed. And I was being a smart aleck. But at the same token, that's my hashtag. And it was really cool because there was a book every year, my other director and I, Mike, would get each other books. And this is the second of a book that he bought me. Nice. Dr. Joseph Murphy wrote a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. And Mike got it for me for Christmas as a gift. And we always did book exchanges instead of gift cards. And I read that book, and it was just such a beautifully woven story of really how our mindset matters, right? Mm-hmm. And so what happened is Mike and I put that into momentum that we were going to be $1 million center. We were going to break numbers. We were going to break goals. And we started picking numbers, right? And just kept talking as if we'd already done it. And it was the coolest thing because that was one of the years that I fondly look back and go, before we realized it, Mike and I took a step back and we're like, oh my gosh, look what just happened. Like we were looking at our quarterly reports and realizing we'd surpassed all of our goals without even realizing it. Like it was just, so it's a great series. And I recommend it to everyone. I don't have my original copy because I think I've loaned it to someone. And if you're on the call and I've loaned it to you, let me know because I can't remember who I gave it to. But my last question for you, Brenda, of the day. And here's the other one. Yep. Career BFF. Absolutely. I know Anna's hashtag. And I think she needs to be the career coach of misfits, but that's a whole other thing. So I'm going to show this one. But last question of the day before we send everybody off into their beautiful days to be busy and blessed is if Chris Johnson called you tomorrow and said, hey, I need you to give a TED Talk, what would you give it on?
I think it would be, I debate because like giving a TED Talk is like one of my career goals. So I'm pausing on this because like vocalizing it, like somebody's going to hold me. They're like, what about that TED Talk you talked about on Megan's thing? All right, I'll just kind of say it out loud. It's about the theme of being enthusiastically unemployable. And the irony is I created this for myself when I kind of pivoted from corporate to being self-employed. And I always admired people that did it, but I never thought I could do it. I never thought I could do it. I was a career, like I was going up to CMO. That was my goal, was to keep moving up. And I always kind of did what you were supposed to do. Go to college, do the first job, move into a second job, go for a master's degree, do leadership training, do all the things that you're supposed to do, be a part of the leadership team, gain your experience. And then something happened and it took me off of that path. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, there's a whole other path over here. Like I never thought about that from before. And I love it. And even in the ups and downs of the pandemic, I've had some really great months. I've had some really soft months. I've never doubted my success and my future for a minute. I've never had to worry about looking over my shoulder, wondering, is the boss going to tap me on the shoulder and bring me into that little corner office? I've never had to worry about a bad performance review. I've never had to worry about taking the day off if I need to do something with my kids, or going grocery shopping at 3 o'clock in the afternoon instead of being in another work meeting that drones on for hours. I mean, there's so many reasons I love doing what I am doing now. And I love that I've found this path to pivot into. And now, Megan, there's this whole movement of people, we're calling it the Great Recession. And this RTO, return to the office, is causing people now to leave their jobs. And some people are finding better jobs, different jobs, changing career paths. Some people are leaving the corporate path and starting their own journey to becoming enthusiastically unemployable as well. And it's kind of like, every time I say it, it makes me smile, because I'm kind of like, you guys get what I'm talking about, right? I'm enthusiastically unemployable. Like, I love it so much. There's really no salary, no benefits, no golden handcuffs anymore. The joy I found, I love that I was a part of corporate for such a long time, because I draw from those experiences, but I love where I'm at now. And there's a movement of us. There's a lot of other people out there that are also enthusiastically unemployable. So thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
You're welcome. So be sure to follow Brenda Miller on Miller Marketing and connect with her on LinkedIn with a personal invite. Because Brenda, I agree. And I'm going to echo Chris's sentiments that is a perfect TED Talk. But we're not going to hold you to it. While this LinkedIn Live is being recorded, we will not hold you to it. Life happens, and we would love to hear you speak on anything. And I think the audience and members could agree. But here is my favorite. And this one is Brenda and my thank you to each of you. So Brenda, thank you. I cannot tell you enough how much I've loved having you as my first guest. And as always, you were a good friend. And when I see you in person eventually, we'll have dirty martinis and virtual hugs, or in real hugs. But so here's the fun part. This is the last part. And for those of you who know what a chat waterfall is, you know how to do this. But for those of you who don't, you're in for a real treat. So here's how it rolls. That motivational quote you found when we did the image search on Google, I want you to type it in the chat, but do not hit send. So go ahead and type that motivational quote that really resonated with you. All right. Go ahead and type it in the chat for me. And then I am going to count down from 5. And at the end of that countdown, you are all going to hit submit at the same time. And what will happen is the chat will have a whole flurry of questions that pop in. Oh, Amy, my pleasure. Okay. Andrew's got to run. Yep. I'll catch up.
Are we supposed to type ours in? Because I have mine ready to go too.
You can type your, Jillian's got it. But she says, thank you. Pop. All right. Absolutely. So, all right. So we'll be sure to catch this. All right. So if you have it typed, we're going to go with 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go ahead and hit enter, and let's watch those quotes come in.
It takes about 30 seconds too. I think I told you this, Megan, because there's like it's almost like when they broadcast live on TV and there's like a slight delay, and they do that for the people that don't say the bucket word. They say the other word that rhymes with bucket, so they can bleep it out, I think. But I don't know why on StreamYard. I think because of the fact that it's not streamed live through LinkedIn. We're going through a streaming service. So there's I always think about the little, like the Keebler elves are streaming it from one place, and then they got to bring it back over to LinkedIn. So it takes like 30 seconds to do that process.
That makes sense. There's some good ones. So we're going to keep rolling them through until I see more. Got this. Absolutely. One of my favorites, will it be easy? Nope. But will it be worth it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Those are some of my favorite. No one ever said doing something easy was worthwhile. So no, it is. These are all so good. Oh, this is a great one too. Absolutely, Arabella. Strong is the only choice. I come from a long line of strong, independent women. It's a family tradition. So these are great. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Be sure to follow both of our pages so you can connect with us and follow more feeds. And next week, tune in on Tuesday as Christopher Johnson and I really dive into the virtual growth idea during the pandemic. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Megan.
Absolutely. So we'll give it a few.
I told Megan to wait because it's
So now we're good. Now you're going to see this really weird part here. I'll just move us around so you all know we're changing. We're just playing with the technology here. There's that. There's this. I'll move us up and down so you know the podcast is over. All right. Thanks, everybody. You all are wonderful. Thanks, Brenda. As always, you're a delight. So talk soon.